So, what happens when Wall Street and global politics collide in a totally new way? I'm not talking about backroom deals. I'm talking about an open market where you can bet not on stocks, but on the future of international relations. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. Here's a question for you, and it sounds like something straight out of a movie. Can you actually place a bet on whether one country will seize another's territory? Well, the answer is, believe it or not, yes. And this isn't just some small-time thing. Right now, there are literally millions of dollars on the line, all wagered on the U.S. potentially taking control of the Panama Canal and even parts of Greenland. So you gotta be asking, how on earth is that even a thing? Well, the whole system that makes these wild bets possible is called a prediction market. So let's break down what these are and how they actually work.
The easiest way to think about it is like a stock market for anything. Instead of buying a share of Apple, you're buying a share in whether or not something is going to happen.
So here's the basic rundown. First, you get a really specific question, like, will the U.S. control the Panama Canal by early 2029? Then, traders can buy yes shares or no shares. And this is the cool part. The price of a share tells you the probability. So if a yes share costs, say, 35 cents, the market is basically saying there's a 35% chance of it happening. And that price moves up and down in real time as people react to news and place their bets. Okay, so now that we've got the mechanics down, let's get back to those two jaw-dropping examples we mentioned right at the start, Panama and Greenland. So on this platform called Kalshi, there is a real, active market where traders are putting down cash on whether the U.S. will take back the Panama Canal. This isn't just a hypothetical discussion, it's a live financial market. And what's really wild is how fast sentiment is changing. I mean, just last week, the odds were sitting below 30%. Now, they've jumped to over 35%. In the world of prediction, that is a huge leap in just a matter of days.
And it's pretty much the same story when we look at Greenland. There's a whole other market tracking the odds of the U.S. taking control of some part of that territory.
For this one, the odds climbed from about 30% to 38% really quickly. In fact, the source article points out that over the weekend, the odds spiked like crazy, even going past 46%. When you see a jump that big, you have to ask, what's giving these traders so much confidence all of a sudden?
Well, a quote like this probably has a lot to do with it. When President Trump says something as direct as, "We do need Greenland, absolutely," you can bet traders are listening. For a market trying to sniff out future events, that's a pretty powerful signal.
And just so we're clear on the stakes here, we're not talking about pocket change. Between just these two markets on Kalshi, there's about $2.5 million being wagered. That's a serious amount of money, which shows you the conviction behind these bets.
So what's really going on here? Why are people suddenly betting on these pretty extreme geopolitical outcomes? What's the trigger?
According to the source material, the catalyst seems to be a recent U.S. military operation in Venezuela. That single event appears to have been interpreted by traders as a major signal.
And this analyst from Piper Sandler really kind of nails the thinking here. He says, the big takeaway is that the administration seems a lot more comfortable using military force, and that new perception is what's getting priced into the odds for other potential conflicts.
And as you might expect, this isn't just about Panama and Greenland anymore. Traders are now applying that same logic to other potential hotspots all over the world.
So now this idea is spreading. Over on another platform, Polymarket, new markets have popped up for potential U.S. action in Colombia and even Cuba. And back on Kalshi, there's a market with almost $1 million in it focused on whether Iran's supreme leader will leave office. This one's a perfect snapshot of how these markets measure uncertainty. The question is simple. Will Ali Khamenei be out of office before next year? And right now, the market says there's a 54% chance. It's basically a coin toss, which tells you just how tense and unpredictable that situation is perceived to be.
And once again, you can see how a direct and forceful quote like this would be a key piece of data for anyone betting on that market. This is the kind of language that directly influences those odds.
So what's the bottom line here? Look, whether you think this is brilliant or a little bit terrifying, what's clear is that these prediction markets are creating a totally new way to look at the world. They're trying to put a real number, a probability, on political risk, and in doing so, they're turning global uncertainty into something you can actually trade. And all of this leaves us with one last, big, kind of unsettling question. As the worlds of high finance and high-stakes geopolitics get tangled up like this, what happens when a market stops just predicting the future and actually starts to influence it?
Something to think about.